Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. And gentlemen, if you are listening, if you are new here, then welcome. If you're back for a second or third time, then welcome back. We are doing a brand new review of Married at First Sight, season 13, episode 4. Lifetime. I do not have time to play with y'all. Y'all have taken 2 hours out of my life, honey, and school is starting. I have things to do and people to teach. I do not have time to be sitting here playing with y'all, taking us in reverse back to when we saw them, when we already saw them. They were going to sleep last episode, only to wake them back up, reverse us. So they're taking off their clothes. Jose is Joseing, child, trying to sleep in that bow tie. And then we go to the hotel, which is really a resort, which is really, I don't know what it was, honey, because Myrla was unsatisfied, only to see them get unpacked and go to sleep in them same airport clothes. Child, we do not have time for this. Child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. Now, I can give y'all a quick synopsis of the episode in case you're on a time crunch. So basically, the episode consisted of Myrla complaining, Jose being Jose, trying to brush Rachel's teeth, them laying on the bed with their airport clothes on, Michaela lying to Zack's family when we all see her lose her later on in the season. We have Johnny, he's still being Johnny, still cute. Bao is letting her guard down just a little bit more. And we have Gil wondering why he got paired with Myrla. Oh, and let's not forget that we also have Ryan acting like he really could care less about Brett. Now let's get into it. When the episode first opens up, Johnny and Bao, they find a note, because remember, we're going in reverse. Okay, so we're back to them with all their clothes on and whatnot. And Johnny and Bao find a note. His sister put together a traditional bedroom, okay? The bedspread was 100 children, and that's exactly what she wanted them to make. Honey, Bao is not touching Johnny tonight. Moving forward. Johnny said the first thing that he saw when he looked at Bao was her silhouette. Aw, I love it. Moving forward. She said, she's nervous about going to bed with Johnny, but Bao, that's completely natural, okay? That is completely natural. She said, he's so friendly and warm that it's easy to break down the barrier. But honey, I see you still slept with that pillow between the two of you. Okay, girl. Rachel and Jose, they're, doing a toast, and she undoes her dress just a little bit. And he's like, oh, how many tattoos do you have? Jose, honey, just look at her as a work of art. Honey, I ain't got time for you to be complaining about the tattoos on her body. He's like, what if I go to bed in just my bow tie? Honey, please don't. But Rachel says she wouldn't be opposed to it. Now, Jose, honey, the people is talking. Now, I don't want to say what the people are saying. But he was like, well, I don't really want to say no about getting it in because that wouldn't be the masculine thing to do. What man says that wouldn't be the masculine thing to do? Honey, whatever you do, if you're a man and you're masculine, would be the masculine thing to do. So, honey, I was a little bit confused on that. Now, Jose, honey, now I don't want to say what I'm thinking, but child, honey, let's keep going, child. Let's get into it as we get into it. He's like, I'm working with a little something. She's like, oh, well, I have a gym at home. Lord, I hope y'all not about to talk about this gym every day, all day. Oh, so then she goes in and takes her makeup off. And she's like, I hope he still likes me with no makeup. Honey, he will. Jose is in the other room showing us a little bit. Okay, Jose, I see the little abs and little arms you got, okay? That suit that you picked out or that they chose for you, I don't know what y'all were doing down there at the men's warehouse of it all, but that suit was ill-fitting. It looked like, you were kind of playing dress up. You know how they put those cake toppers and it's like the bride and the groom, the old school cake toppers? That's exactly how Jose was dressed. Jose, don't let them dress you like no cake topper, because we didn't know you had all that body, yada, 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 yada. Moving forward, Myrla and Gil. Gil is gushing over Myrla and her ways, honey, because, child. He said, the thought of going to bed with a stranger is ludicrous. Well, honey, it is giving very much ludicrous, because every time you try to kiss Myrla, she's like, move, Gil, get out the way. Oh, my goodness. Child, I could not help myself, honey. It's definitely ludicrous. Shout out to the ATL. So as they're talking, he's saying, he's happy that her family was there, but then he asked her about her dad. So it's about to get serious, y'all. So let me put my serious face on. They were talking about their fathers, right? And she said that her dad passed away in 2015 and it was very traumatic. And he said the same happened to me. And she said, really? So, they're starting to understand that they have something in common. So Gil tells Myrla that his dad was murdered and he goes through what happened that night. So then, he tells her the story, and he said it's easier to talk about it now because he's faced those demons. So Myrla was like, I've talked about it a lot, but I really don't want to talk about it right now. And she said she was not up to talking about it, and she just wanted to go to bed. Honey, let me find out that the experts matched them based on past trauma. Also, honey, this is a little heavy for the wedding night, child. Let's ease into it. She already don't want to kiss or nothing else. You're going to close her all the way the hell up. Moving forward. She says she appreciates that he's vulnerable and she's comfortable because of their past trauma. And she knows that she's with someone that understands what she's gone through. Now, I did appreciate that because it's like, when you can relate to something, it's a little bit easier to let your walls down. But honey, child, she is the Rock of Gibraltar. Do y'all hear me, honey? You're going to have to chip away at that forever. Gil is like, you want a little light foot rub? Because they're laying in the bed, right? He was like, you want a little light foot rub before bed? She said, not going to happen. Lord, girl, he can't even touch your feet. Child, that is the most unattractive part of a person's body most of the time. And he wants to rub your feet. Well, let me tell you something, Gil, honey. I'm speaking directly to you. You in H-Town, I'm in H-Town. I don't know how this marriage worked out and whatnot. But I'm just saying. If you want to rub somebody's feet, honey, I won't complain. I love to shop on a budget. You can kayak and Yelp and help and Groupon me all day long, honey. So he wanted to rub her feet, honey. She was not interested. Do y'all hear me? She was like, no, please don't touch me. He's like, well, don't say I didn't offer. She said, good night, husband. Oh, child. I'm surprised she let him sleep in the same bed, facing the same way. Child, I thought they was going to be head to foot. Brett and Ryan. Ryan is talking in circles and Brett is like, facts. Because, child, she listening, but she ain't really listening. So she shows him that the shoes that he gave her were a lifesaver because she wore them down the aisle. He's like, yeah, white shoes. I didn't really put one and one together. Ryan, who puts one and one together? Honey, it's 2 and 2. Child, you just saying any old thing. He's like, it worked out, but I regret telling you to run. Child, she ain't been touched in years. If anything, she would have been running toward the aisle. Moving forward, Brett went in and got completely comfortable while Ryan and his bare chest waited in the bed. I'm like, okay, child, you and his bare chest. Ryan was like, the night could go any way, and I'm good with that. Well, child, which way is it gonna go? Zack and Hurricane K. She said, her favorite part of the day was meeting him. And he tells her that the day started out stressful because one of his friends tested positive for COVID. He said, everything about you just seems amazing. Well, honey, that didn't age well, judging from those previews. He said, she's beautiful, but her personality is just everything. She goes in to get out of her dress and she said, her future is about to be beautiful. Yes, Michaela, it can be beautiful if you don't mess it up. Stop being spoiled, okay? These aren't your sisters. This is your husband. Nobody is obligated to cater to your every whim. This season is giving very much spoiled women, okay? I don't know what's happening. I don't know how they, vetted you guys. But at the same time, honey, you're going to have to learn to compromise, okay? So she's like, it's going to be beautiful. Well, we hope so. She comes out to get into bed and he's gassing her up, honey, as he should. Then it's lights out because I'm sure it's about to go down. It's the next morning. We see Jose and Rachel waking up happy as hell. Ryan and Brett. Brett slept in her ring, but Ryan was like, ooh, I don't want to sleep in this thing. Ryan, honey, the ring stays on. Okay, it hasn't even been a good 24 hours yet. What is wrong with you? You waited to be married, so you keep it on. Honey, Ryan may not be ready. Zack and Michaela. Zack, honey, I see that shirt's off. Okay, honey, got the shirt off. Got a little taco meat showing and whatnot. Not personally something I like, but I mean, if y'all got into it as y'all got into it, then that's good. He's like, yeah, I really have no room in this bed and it's a king size bed. She's like, well, to my defense, I told him that I wanted to cuddle and be next to him. Girl, you about to crawl into his skin. Let the man breathe. Child, she probably pounced all over him all last night. Do y'all hear me? Whew. Myrla and Gil. He said so far she has good bedside manners. Honey, she probably wasn't even sleeping in the bed with you. Honey, firefighters sleep hard, okay? You don't even know she wasn't even in the bed with you last night. Talking about she got good bedside manners. Johnny and Bao. Johnny said Bao was waking the neighbors and may need to have her adenoids removed with all that snoring. I'm just kidding, y'all. But he did say she made small, cute noises. And in English, they call it snoring. When I tell you I laughed at that, I just love me some Johnny. And she thought it was cute. She was just blushing. And she was like, oh, my God, don't say that. Oh, my gosh, they are so cute. Jose and Rachel. He's like, yeah, we've been up all night and all morning just kissing without brushing our teeth. First of all, ill. Okay. Ugh. Oh my God. She's like, you're so perfect. I don't know what we're going to argue about. Oh, trust me, honey. It'll be something. This is Married at First Sight. Gil and Myrla. He's like, yeah, I was wondering how you would look in the morning, but I mean, she's just as beautiful as the wedding. He said, I feel like we've been married for a while. She's like, buddy, it's been 24 hours. Are you back to reality yet, honey? Child. Gil just happened to be married. They started talking about her dad because he wanted to know. He said, look, last night I gave you a pass. I know you were tired, but I want to know what happened. So she said, okay, I don't mind sharing. So she opened up about how he was murdered and basically set up by her half sister. I was like, oh my gosh. When she was telling that, I was like, that is so tragic. And so, he listened and he was very comforting. And he was just like, that's something you see on a telenovela. And it is, honey. I mean, it's a Lifetime movie. The fact that she lived through that, that has to be traumatizing. So, I mean, it's like I want to give her the benefit of the doubt because she's experienced something so traumatic. But at the same time, girl, you're a whiner and a complainer. Honey, I don't like how the experts have them trauma bonding. I don't like that. That does not make you a match. Michaela and Zack. Michaela is like, ooh, I won the lottery. So she's laying there on Zack's chest and they're talking about how neither of them snore. And he said he only snores when he's sick or he's dog tired. So she was like, well, when you're sick, are you a big baby? And he's like, no, I'm pretty good about that. So then they get up and they get ready to go eat, right? He said he loves her energy and how much she cares for him already, but he still has a lot to learn. Well, I'm glad you have some awareness, okay? Because there is a lot that you need to learn. They sit down for breakfast and Michaela starts talking about some of her habits that she wants to break, right? She said, I can be too nonchalant sometimes, just brushing things off like they don't matter. And it spills into my relationship. And she realized that it was just something that she uses as a defense mechanism. Okay. So I appreciate the fact that they're having the tough conversations now and that she's letting him know what's to come. So he said, you sound like me. Do you quit easily? She said, no, I see things and I just won't say anything about them. He said, okay, well, don't do that with me because I want to make this work. She said, are you jealous? He said, no, maybe I should be a bit more. Why would you want to be jealous? Why? Jealous can be an ugly, sometimes dangerous emotion. Why do you want to be more jealous? Okay. I guess you want to prove that you actually like the person. But for me, jealousy does not prove that you like me or you love me. Jealousy proves that you want to own me. Okay, so I'm not really too keen on a lot of jealousy. She said, well, I'm not jealous, but I'm possessive. Oh, Lord, Michaela. Oh, child, you're going to be a problem. And it's just so crazy because I really liked you. Now, I'm not going to say I don't like you just yet because they keep drawing out these episodes. So I don't really know how we're going to get into it. But girl, nobody likes a possessive person. People aren't property. Okay, you can experience a person, but you can never possess them. I just want that to be known. She's like, well, when it's mine, it's mine. Girl, you sound like a toddler with a toy. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Honey, she's sitting there, hair everywhere, talking about she possessive. Honey, her crazy is ready to pop out. Do y'all hear me? He said, well, it actually turns me on. It lets me know you care about a thing. Yes, you said it exactly right. A thing. Okay, you possess things, not people. Zack needs more life experience. Honey, it's cute now, but it won't be later on. Moving forward. So Michaela is talking to him about how she won't say anything, but after a while, she'll go ahead and pipe up and speak her speech, right? So she's basically saying to him, if one of those little hoochies come close, they can get it. Honey, don't mess with my man. I'm gonna be the one to bring it to you. Shout out to Nivea. Brett and Ryan. Brett says she feels like, that they aren't strangers. Well, honey, y'all definitely are. Okay. You definitely are strangers. After she says that, Ryan stared into space for 4 or 5 minutes. Ryan, wake up. Child, this is a mess. Back over here with Johnny and Bao. Bao said, do you remember our last interaction? He said, no. So she starts telling him how they already have each other's numbers. So she pulls out her phone. She calls him. He's like, I already have your number saved. I thought that was so cute. I know the experts did this on purpose. They purposely went through these Instagrams and saw that Bao and Johnny knew each other from back then and put them together. So Bao was saying, yeah, we hung out and I thought it was going to be a whole friend thing, but you were kind of flirting with me. So then she pulls out her phone with the saved message from years ago, right? Johnny, honey, you better not try nothing because Bao has the receipts. So she reads this text thread and realizes that Johnny ghosted her. Child, Johnny was like, oh my God, really? I don't remember that. That can't be right. Well, honey, she definitely has the receipts. Well, fate brought the two of you back together and now you're married. And now he has to go to that museum with you. I thought that was so cute. I was like, oh my gosh, Bob must really have liked him to keep those text messages. Honey, you get a good week out of me and I'm deleting it. Honey, might delete it the same day, depending on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling frisky, I'm going to delete it the same night. I'm not about to take up all my storage. It ain't happening. Johnny is like, well, you know what? I apologize for my previous self, but 2021 me will make up for it. Oh, my God. It's time to meet the in-laws. Jose goes to meet Rachel's family. He tells them that they have so much in common. We have something in common. Shout out to Whitney and Bobby. He said and child. I'm going to keep that to myself. He said he feels a lot of chemistry there. Her family was looking at him like, okay, really? So then her mom said, well, I have nothing but good things to say, but she has her master's, but at home she can be a bit messy. Now, mama, honey, you just said you have nothing but good things to say, but y'all get into it if you're going to get into it so we can figure out what's going on. Her sister said, yeah, washing dishes and her car. Wait until you ride in that. And Jose was looking like, not a nasty car. Jose, I mean, child, sometimes us women, child, we live out of our cars. I mean, it's just a thing. I'm sorry, but it is. So then they said, and when she's mad, she won't tell you, but you'll know because she'll say, note taken. Her mom said, yeah, just be nice and don't push her or she's going to explode. So Rachel is passive aggressive and has a temper as well. Okay. Oh my goodness, honey. We got Michaela, Myrla, and Rachel as the Tasmanian Devils. Honey, I'm not in the mood. I'm really not in the mood for this. Chop. Over with Jose's family, Rachel still looking sleepy. His dad was like, so did you get a good rest? Honey, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, Rachel, are you still sleepy or what is happening? She said, yeah, we got a little bit. He said, oh, okay, good. That's good. Child, he want his son to get laid by all means. Do y'all hear me? She's like, no, we were just talking. So then she said, everything is going so good. And she's basically waiting for the other shoe to drop and trying to figure out what they're going to fight about. Y'all gonna fight about something. His dad said, well, he's a stickler for time and his finances and his credit. And he even has a board. Okay. He writes down each and every dollar that he spends. She's like, oh, well, I'm not a saver. How is this going to work out? Honey, we don't know. But I do know you can save a lot of money by switching to Geico. Honey, I'm just trying to help. Ryan goes to meet Brett's parents. Now, this right here was a trip. Her mom was like, well, what did you think when you saw her? Now, instead of Ryan saying she was beautiful, he said the first thing I saw was the red hair. I mean, you either look good in it or you don't. Ryan, you do know it is a dye, right? That's not her natural hair color. Brett, I don't think he like it, honey. I don't think he likes it. So her dad said, at any time, did you want to back out? He said, no, I can't top it. I especially can't top last night. What are you talking about, Ryan? What are you talking about, child? Child, them talking to Ryan was like pulling teeth. Ryan, pipe up, honey. Say something. And so her mom was like, well, do you want to ask us any questions? Ryan said, no, I don't think I have any. Ryan, how do you not have any questions about your wife who is a perfect stranger? Baby, Ryan just there to hang out, child. Over with his family, Brett said, why do y'all think we were matched? Child, I don't know, but I'm willing to hear what they have to say. His friend said, yeah, your personality, it matches him. Well, Ryan got to get a personality first. Honey, we haven't seen one yet. When is it going to show up? I guess a little bit later. So Brett said, so what do you mean? Honey, that's what we're trying to figure out. What do you mean? His sister said, well, he dates potatoes. Honey, not Mr. Potato Head. Well, the way Ryan acts, honey, he needs a ditz. Okay. She said, they're not dumb. They're just props. Brett said, well, I'm going to be my authentic self. Okay. Because I want him to like the real me. I'm not going to put on airs. I'm not going to be fake. It is what it is. You get what you get and you don't pitch a fit. It's basically how Brett feels about it. His friend said, yeah, it's important to banter with him a lot because he's shy. He's introverted. She's like, oh, okay, Banter is my middle name. He's like, well, you seem fun. You seem like you'll bring him out of his shell. You know, he's not a turtle. She's like, oh, I've never had to bring anybody out of their shell before. So Brett and Ryan are officially the tortoise and the hare. Okay. He's in his shell like a Ninja Turtle. And all he sees when he looks at her is that fiery red hair. Honey, I really like Brett, just not for Ryan. Gil and Myrla. Gil goes to meet her guy friends, right? Honey, I'm not shocked she has a lot of guy friends because it makes her feel like the queen, you know, to be surrounded by men. And them friends, that's her female friends, were probably like, child, look, we already paid our dues. We showed up. She talked about our makeup, our face, our eyebrows. It's your turn. So there you have that. Her friend said, you know, she's like his sister and he protects her. And they said, so what are your red flags? He said the finances. I think Gil is thinking in terms of being a provider. He feels like the way that she's talking about things, he will not be able to measure up. Gil, it's okay, honey. She repeats the same flannel pajamas for 3 and 4 days in a row, honey, without washing them. So I think you'll be fine. Moving forward. He said that money doesn't motivate him. And her brother said, well, she saves before she spends. Okay, so that was a good thing to know. And her friend said she can sustain her own lifestyle. She won't need you for much, but to be your authentic self. I didn't like that. Okay, because it makes it seem like there's not anything you can do for her. Okay, she's an independent woman doing it for herself. She just wanted to be married, because it makes it sound like Myrla was just looking for a title. She had everything she could ever want besides the husband. So I didn't really like that, friend. Honey, I know you thought that was saying something, but it didn't do anything for me. Now, that's my personal opinion. Gil said, well, you know, I really appreciate it. And I like her. And I like a person that speaks their mind. So then his brother gonna say, well, okay, so if that's true, you'll never have to see my bad side. Brother, honey, have you seen Gil? I'm sure he isn't shaking in his fire boots. Child, anyway. So Myrla goes to meet his friends, and they say he's loyal, he's open. His friend Jeanette said he's very passionate. And his other friend said if there's one thing that he doesn't like, it's when you say one thing and you do another. It's going to piss him off. So Myrla said, well, I'm moody and, you know, I pout. If I don't get my way, I'm going to get mad. Girl, you having a full-on tantrum at your big grown age? Girl, that is not cute. This is my thing. I think Myrla thinks she's luxury, okay? I think she thinks she reads Saks, but you really read Kohl's. Honey, girls, just stop. And not that there's anything wrong with Kohl's. Honey, I love me a good Kohl's coupon, especially the digital ones. Honey, they'll take any old kind of coupon, okay? That's just a side note. But what I'm saying is, stop acting like you're on such a pedestal that if you don't get your way or the mansion isn't cleaned by the maid on Monday, it's going to be a problem. This is a regular guy you're married to, a regular schmegular guy. You're going to have to adapt and you're going to have to compromise and stop complaining. Crazy helpful. So Zack goes to meet Michaela's sisters and they're like, oh, you look awake. Yeah, honey. Michaela been putting it down all night. He has this adrenaline pumping. He said, yeah, you know, I'm just excited. She's really exceeded my expectations. They're like, okay, we love to see it. And they said, listen, this is what you just need to do. You need to gas her up and have her back. Her oldest sister said, you know, they always protected her because she's the baby. So he's going to have to step up and do the same. Basically, we spoiled her rotten. Sorry in advance. Moving forward. Michaela goes in to meet his family. Child, they brought everybody in his family. Do y'all hear me? I was like, dang, who are all these people? Hunter, his brother, said, what was the first thing you thought when you saw him? She was like, oh, I thought he was gorgeous. So his dad said, well, what did you learn about him? I know that's right, Daddy, because to me, it seems like straight infatuation. Okay, what do you know about our son? And you know the mama, honey, she looking all the way sideways because that's her baby. His dad said, well, did he tell you he was spoiled? His mother said, it's not spoiled, it's particular. No, mama, honey, he's spoiled and it's okay, but just own it. Honey, I could tell he was spoiled when you were wiping his tears and calling him, you're my sweet angel. That's what you are. He's spoiled. His dad said, so how do you handle conflict? Child, did y'all hear Michaela tell these people a bold-faced lie to their face? Michaela said, well, I didn't have an example because my dad was killed and that's why he wasn't there. So then they flash back to them calling her for the father-daughter dance. But this is my thing. Production and everybody in between. You know her backstory. That was very irresponsible and it was hurtful. And it brought up emotions in her that I'm sure she didn't want to think about because she was already having a tough time knowing that her dad wasn't going to walk her down the aisle. Somebody dropped the ball big time on that one. Honey, I didn't appreciate that. But the moment was beautiful nonetheless. They show us a flashback of them calling her for the father-daughter dance, but Zack's dad stepped up to dance with her. And honey, I'm not going to lie, honey, I cried. I really did. I cried because he really seems like he is from a good family. That was such a sincere moment. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. She thanked him for that. And she's like, my mom and my dad, they would argue, but it's not the way that I want to argue in my relationship. She said they didn't fight the best, but I don't do the name calling, the shouting, and the throwing things. Honey, they literally showed you shouting, cussing, and slamming doors. But go off, sis. Honey, she believes in healthy arguments. His dad said, look, we're protective of him, and we're giving him to you, and we're trusting you with him. How can we be sure that you have his back? His mom said, look, I go off people's actions, not their words. Baby mama said your mouth can say anything. She don't care what you're talking about. But when they see them roll that beautiful bean footage of Michaela losing her mind, oh, child, it's going to be over for Michaela. Johnny and Bao. Johnny goes to meet with her family and friends, and they tell him that the jersey was a no-no. She was scathing. He said, does she do that often? So they're like, yeah, she actually does. And he said, oh, wow, I'm hoping she doesn't have those overreactions to other things. It's looking like, but hopefully she'll grow out of it. Honey, I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. So they asked about his dating life, and he basically said, one strike and you're out. And he's on to the next, on to the next, on to the next one. I know that's right. Her friend said, so how can you be married if you feel that way? He can want to be married now, honey. That was his past. His past does not define him. Now, I'm sure he's worked on that, but child, let us pray. Because child, you might be right, honey. I don't know. Okay. I'm just going through the motions of this season, and I'm going to see where I land. Because these people are taking me on a roller coaster already. Bao goes to meet with his mom and his family and his aunt. And she said in Vietnamese culture, it's very important to greet the parent or the family properly. And his mom said that she could call her mom. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. She felt very welcome. That's a beautiful dress that Bao has on. I was looking at her. I was like, oh, Bao, you look so cute. I loved it. So then his aunt was like, it's been 23 hours, 2 minutes and 62 seconds. And do y'all have any love sparkle yet? Honey, I know that's right. Y'all, she trying to figure out if y'all gonna get into it as y'all get into it. Not that she counted down the hours. His aunt was so cute. I loved it. She said, yeah, we're getting along so well. He's so sweet. She said, can I ask about his dad? They said, well, his dad moved to California IA, and honey, he's been MIA most of his life. So then his mom said, but he really likes you. When we were dancing together, he told me that he really was happy with you. I hope I get another grandson. Well, honey, Bao got to let him touch her first, but we're going to see how it goes. So then his aunt said, Johnny can retire and be Mr. Mom at home. Honey, that's cute, but I doubt if Bao wants Mrs. Doubtfire. She didn't look too pleased. Day 1 of marriage, Zack and Michaela. Zack and Michaela are talking, and he's asking how it went. And she said his dad, imitated him because he's a motor mouth when he gets nervous and all this kind of stuff. So Zack said, my family is very hard to please, honey, especially your mama. She's like, well, they were genuine, so I know that they raised a genuine guy. We can tell they still in the honeymoon phase. Listen, y'all, do not mess it up. It seems like y'all got a good thing going. Both of your families love you, and they seem to have embraced each other. So, oh, child, I hope y'all don't mess it up. Bao comes up to Johnny like, hey, hubby. And then she embraces him. I'm like, okay, Bao, honey, I see you loosening up just a little bit. He said, did you get all dolled up just to see my family? Aw, he noticed. Let me tell you something. A man that notices you looking good, or when you change your nail color, or when you change your hair, that is everything to me. Do y'all hear me? I love it. So she was like, yeah, I did. So then they talked about her meeting his family and how his Aunt Allison basically stole the show, honey. He said, I invited her because I knew that she was going to ask the tough questions. And she did. So she said, I asked about your dad. Johnny got super emotional in a confessional and said, he wants to let it go, but he really loves his dad, even his 1970s advice. Johnny, I'm sorry, honey. I laughed a little bit at that, but I did appreciate you opening up and being vulnerable. But I did love the fact that Bao said that she would be there to support him. And she even told him how good she is with dad. She's like, I'll talk Vietnamese to him. I'll do whatever it needs to be done, in order to make him feel comfortable. I really appreciated that. That was major growth, even for one night. And it shows that she's in it for the long haul. It shows that she cares about Johnny. And it shows that she's willing to adapt. Even if his family life is a little bit shaky, she's not going to run. That was big. I really appreciated it. Ryan and Brett, they catch up. He's like, yeah, your family is easy to talk to. Ryan, you didn't talk to them. You said nothing. Child, she said, yeah, they said that I needed to pry things out of you. He's like, well, we don't think that's the case. Do you think that's the case? Honey, the people watching the screen think that is the case. Rachel and Jose talk about their brunch. Jose said, yeah, they told me about your buzzword. She's like, oh, when I say I'm taking a mental note, oh yeah, I actually am taking a mental note. She said she does that because in the past she would keep things in and then explode, but she's learned not to do that. Myrla and Gil, they're catching up, and she told him about her tantrums. Child. About him being emotionally loud. He was like, you mean they were saying I was being like passionate about things? She was like, oh yeah, I was just checking. Girl, please. He said, well, the thing for me is I'm not driven by money. She said, well, I am driven by money because I grew up poor. Myrla said, money. All I really want to see is the money. I don't really need the D. I need the money. Shout out to Cardi B. Honey, Myrla said, look, the money is the motive. If you ain't got money, you ain't talking about nothing when it comes to Myrla. Myrla said, look, I don't like the fact that he's not driven by money. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Have you ever heard the saying, money is the root of all evil? I understand you grew up poor. I get that. But you cannot let money consume your entire being and your entire relationship. Honey, this is not going to work out. He said, I need money to live, but it doesn't motivate me. Well, we know that, honey. You're a firefighter in Houston. He seems really bothered by her love of money, even more than no kisses. This is not looking good. Not looking good at all. Day 2 of marriage. Michaela and Zack and her knotless braids are telling us she's happy because he put it down and she fell in love. He said, listen, if last night keeps happening, I'm going to die a happily married man. Well, at least sexually. Honey, it looks like that's the only thing y'all have. Okay? The way these previews are going. Erotic combustion. They are going to be fighting and fucking. That's what they're going to be doing. And then she's either going to get tired of him or vice versa. Honey, it's going to be a mess. They each received their honeymoon package for the Florida Keys. I'm like, not Florida Keys, child. Take them from one COVID hotspot to the next. So then Michaela said, did you bring a lot of swimsuits? He's like, I brought 3 trunks. She's like, 3? That's all? Girl, he is a guy. He can basically go with what he got on and he'll be happy. Myrla and Gil are talking about it. And he's like, I'm excited to see her in her element. She says she likes to travel. Child, not to the Florida Keys, honey. She's talking about abroad. Child, this is going to be a mess. She going to complain the entire time. He's like, well, here's some sunscreen. She's like, oh, I need SPF 130. Girl, hush. Like, what is wrong with you? You're complaining about the lashes, complaining about the sunscreen, complaining about this, complaining about that. Oh, you are a headache. Bao and Johnny are preparing, but not before her spreadsheet. Child, she pulls out this Excel spreadsheet that allows her to plan out each and every one of her outfits. Okay, Bao, set yourself off. Jose and Rachel are packing, and he tried to pack protection, right? So he's putting the condoms in his suitcase. She's like, how are we going to have babies? No, leave that. He's like, oh, yeah, you're right. Baby Rachel ready to get it started. Jose, you better take those condoms, honey. Now is not the time to be experimenting with Rachel. You don't even know if the two of you are compatible. You've been married for 1 calendar day. Child, goodbye. He said he's excited to see how they will mesh on the honeymoon. Honey, so am I. Brett is talking to Ryan, asking how he feels about her being afraid of planes. You know what, Brett? Me too. I like to jet set, but I'm deathly afraid of planes. Okay. I will get on a plane, but I have to take a deep breath. I have to close my eyes. I'm perfectly fine. We're in the sky, but it's just getting up there. I'm going to need some help. Okay. Ryan is just looking as usual. They're on their way. They're in the airport. Brett and Ryan are looking for coffee. Yes, please, honey, wake Ryan up. Johnny and Bao are excited for alone time. And Myrla and Gil, well, it's Myrla and Gil, child. over to the Florida Keys. They make it to the resort, and Dr. Viviana says they need to take this time to have the deep conversations to get to know each other. Child, well, let's see how this gonna go. Rachel is like, oh my God, this is the first honeymoon suite I've ever been in. I've never been in a room this big. Girl, this is a standard double suite with roses on the bed. Honey, cut the crap. You've been somewhere before. Child, gone. She's like, yeah, I want to make sure I get to know him as much as possible now, because I don't want any surprises. I want everything to come out now. Well, honey, you should have let him bring those condoms until y'all got into it as y'all got into it. Because, I mean, the fact that you want to have raw dog sex and then get to know him, that doesn't make any sense. So they go brush their teeth. Jose is once again Joseing. He's singing happy birthday to himself. And then Jose said, can I brush your teeth? Jose would get on my nerves. It's too much. It's too much. She's like, I hope he was just playing because I'm a grown adult. Honey, the funny thing is, I don't think he was playing. So then they lay on the bed with their airport bodies. I'm like, oh my goodness. That makes my skin crawl every time they do that. And Johnny, I'm surprised that you and Bao, when the first thing that you told Dr. Pepper was that they had to bathe and brush their teeth 3 times a day. I'm so shocked. So anyway, they lay on the bed with their airport bodies and they start talking about how perfect they are for each other. And he said he would jump out of a plane for her. But as far as taking a bullet, I only love my bed and my mama. I'm sorry. Shout out to Drake. Honey, all of a sudden, Rachel was a stranger. Okay. He said, I will not be taking a bullet for Rachel. Now, my mama, that's fine. But Rachel, it's a no. Myrla and Gil. Child, listen to me. Myrla and Gil get in this room. They're not in here 5 seconds. She's like, oh, I prefer the presidential view. My pool at home is better than this pool. Oh, all I see is murky water. Can you even get in that pool? The neighbors are kind of close. We're missing the ocean waves. He's like, well, there's always YouTube. You know, I could just plug my phone in. I can get you some ocean waves. He's like, Myrla is not appreciating this place. She's like, it's just not nice. This is a retirement home. Well, it is giving very much timeshare in Orlando, honey, when your family is on a budget and you have more than 2 kids. I mean, I'm not going to lie. When back in the 80s, when me and my brothers and sisters were younger, honey, we would be quick to stay at a good old timeshare. Okay, you know how they take you in there, do that little presentation and tell you to sell your soul and sign up for $5,000 a month. And then you're going to own this resort. But then they tell you what days you can and cannot travel. That's exactly what this was giving. It was giving very much resort timeshare. But lady, we are in the middle of a pandemic, okay? This is the best that they could do. And I don't understand what type of budget they were on, because there are nice resorts in America, okay, that you could have traveled to that would have been nicer than this. There's actually a beautiful resort not too far from Key West. So I'm trying to figure out how we ended up here at the timeshare. But listen, you're here to get to know your husband. It's an all expense paid trip. Honey, you didn't pay not a dime. So pipe down. Okay? Just do whatever it is you're going to do and go on about your business and stop all that complaining. He's like, so what do you want to eat? Salad? She's like, I eat more than salad. Well, honey, you have the personality of ranch dressing. So, honey, he was just trying to make an educated guess. Child, oh my goodness. Gil, I'm sure you can see right now that you will never please her. I hope you see that. Brett and Ryan. I'm so sick of all these roses all over this bed. Honey, I understand it's a honeymoon, but it takes 5 hours to get all the roses off the bed. So roses are everywhere. And Brett's like, let's just do this the fast way. So he picks up the duvet and just throws the roses on the floor. I know that's right, Ryan. Brett was like, you know, on the plane, it was like you were really there for me. Ryan was like, yeah, it was rough. Oh my God. Brett said, I feel like you took it in stride. He said it was a disaster. Brett, are you listening to him? He was not on the same page as you, and I didn't like that. She said, well, you didn't have to do much. Ryan said, yeah, you know, she's really afraid of flying. And if someone acted like that on a flight with me that I dated, I would never travel with them or date them again. Ryan, listen directly to me. Okay. I don't appreciate how you're treating her at the fact that she's afraid of flying. Okay. It's normal to have a fear of that. Look, I knew that I loved one of my exes the minute that we traveled together. I was so afraid, and he was very patient with me. You know, he held my hand. He assured me that we were going to make it there. He prayed with me. You're her husband. Okay, so the fact that you're saying in the camera, if this was a date, you know, and she acted like that, then I would never date her again. Well, Ryan, she had to do something. If she was screaming and yelling all up and through the flight, she had to do something to wake you up, child. That was your time for you to show her you could help calm her fears. You dropped the ball on that, honey. Ryan, no bueno. I'm starting to think you're really not that into Brett. That's just my assessment. Johnny and Bao. She's like, why are you in this bed? Bao, honey, you're married. She's like, well, I don't want to be the reason that you don't sleep. Okay, so I'm starting to see that Bao internalizes things that you say to her. Bao, it was a joke, honey. He didn't really mean that he didn't want to sleep with you ever again because he heard you make your cute noises. Okay, it's going to be fine. So then they get ready for bed and Johnny said, look, I want to wait to make sure that you're comfortable so we can slow things all the way down, okay? I don't want you to think I'm trying to rush you. So, what are you into sexually? Boy, what? I was like, that is not slowing things all the way down. He was like, you could give me one right now. She said the kiss. The kiss told me everything, and kisses really tell me a lot. And the kiss that we had last night, it really positively made me feel some kind of way, and I have been thinking about it. Johnny said, well, I'm just going to let you know that I like vanilla sex. Johnny, let me find out you bored in the bed. I think you almost said that just to make Bao comfortable. He was like, I don't like anal. I mean, that's where you poop. That's where poop comes out. I mean, it does. But baby, Bao didn't say she was into vanilla sex. Bao looked at him like, watch Bao pull out them whips and chains. Honey, let me find out Bao was a dominatrix. Well, honey, it might be her speed after all because she wants to do missionary and get right on up, honey. It was very telling. Zack and Michaela. She's oohing and ahhing at the room and he's like, oh, I really don't feel well. But you know what, Zack? You spoke that into existence because when you were in the hotel room with Michaela and y'all were just waking up, you were like, watch, I get COVID in like a day or two. And she was like, don't say that. You have to be very careful what you speak into existence and what you speak out into the universe because those things happen. I'm a stickler for that. Don't speak nothing over me, not even the common cold. If I sneeze, say God bless you and keep moving. So she's like, well, I don't want to sleep next to you if you're not feeling well. He's like, yeah, I'm sick and I don't want to expose you. Well, honey, as touchy as the two of you are and you traveled on the plane together, I'm sure she will have to quarantine as well. But honey, it shows that you're a protector. And that was the end of the episode. Child, this was a snooze fest. I don't even know how I got 40 plus minutes out of this. But y'all know I like to zhuzh it up for your entertainment. In case you were too tired to watch, that's what I'm here for. Please do not hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Tell me exactly how you feel about Myrla complaining. Do you feel like Gil is going to last to the end? I'm starting to see a different side of Ryan. How about you? Do you think he's really into Brett? Johnny and Bao are still Johnny and Bao, and they're still my favorite couple. As far as Rachel and Jose, we'll see if Jose keeps Joseing, if you know what I mean. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.